So once again this morning, we're starting to get ready for Christmas, but we were hit with more negative news just right before Christmas in the UK markets, in the UK economy, that there is going to be a recession on the cards for 2025. There was some more awful data that came out today, and today we're going to cover that for you guys. Hope you enjoy it. Let's get started. So this morning, the UK economy was revised for Q3, and it turned to unexpectedly no growth in the third quarter. So we saw the UK economy not grow during the third period of this year as we were expecting. It went from 0.1 down to 0.0. Now looking at the data as well, we are looking at the UK economy growth is also going to be pretty poor in Q4. The only way that we're going to have good Q4 data that comes out is that if we have a very good Christmas period, because looking at October and November, that has also been very weak so far. And the alarm bells are ringing because the data is going to get weak in Q4. And we probably have a weak Q1 as the new effects from the budget come in, that we are going to be heading towards a recession in 2025. We are going to be heading towards the worst G7 country economy out there in 2025, and that was from where we had the record growth at the start of 2024. And the only change that has happened realistically is the new UK government that has come in. The UK has downturned massively in the last kind of few months, and as people are pointing out that this is unexpectedly, I'm thinking, hold on. There's a guy that's in his office that films videos in his office that has been calling this out for the last few months, saying the UK economy is heading in the wrong direction. And it's being very clear. I don't know how all of a sudden this is unexpectedly that we've seen the UK head into a recession in 2025. For me, it's been obvious. We've been calling it out on the YouTube for a long time that the UK economy is heading into a bad direction. And the reason for the bad direction is because of the current UK government. We have had, and I want to make this very clear because every time I talk about this, people think I'm just being anti-Labour. We've had a poor government for a good amount of years. The issue is that we thought, surely we can't have a government that makes it worse. And that's what we've had. We've had a dumpster fire, and we've had a current government that have come in and they've poured a load of petrol on the top of the fire. That is exactly what's happened right now. And the big thing was the UK budget. The UK budget is basically what has caused the recession out there when we had it in autumn time. In October time when we had the budget, it is the reason for why we are having growth contract, and it is why we're heading into a recession in 2025, and this is why this economic growth has completely collapsed. It is because of the UK budget. The UK budget has caused a lot of issues, and what this is also going to do is it's going to stop job growth, it's going to stop job wage increases, it's going to stop hiring, it's going to stop businesses from being successful and people being hired inside those businesses and giving them those pay rises. It has knocked the confidence out of the UK economy, because what we've seen already is the nerves around the UK budget. We haven't even really got to the point where the UK budget starts coming in yet. We've not even seen the impact of it. When we get to springtime and the budget starts coming in, we're going to see an even bigger impact. Right now it's the nerves, the pre-budget nerves, and then we're going to have the result of the budget. When we start seeing in Q4, we're going to see people be nervous around the spending. In Q1, we're going to see people nervous around the hiring. And in Q2, what we're going to start seeing is the economy and businesses struggling. That's what's going to happen. And what's happened is, because when we had the current government come in, they basically said, we need to raise money. We're going to give everyone crazy pay rises, which they shouldn't have done. You only can give people pay rises if the economy has growth. If the economy has growth, you can pass on those pay rises. People feel a lot better. What they wanted to do is they wanted to have declining growth. They wanted to have declining growth, but then tax everybody and give pay rises out. And you can't do crazy pay rises while taxing everybody out there. And that's what's happened. And you got to be a stable and slowly build up those wages. Now, like I said previously before, I think people have been very much underpaid for many few years, but you can't then suddenly come into power and go, you know what, we're going to hand out pay rises, and then we're going to throw it all on private companies and they're going to deal with it. Because what's happened now is all these private companies, it's not even just a slow impact with what this budget was from a few months ago. The increase of where the contribution of the NI is a big impact. Going from the 13.8% up to 15% was a big increase. And maybe you could have got away with that. But the fact that also the threshold has been changed on where businesses pay the NI, that's also a big impact. And then what also you have here is that businesses have not only had to do a higher percentage they pay, but also the threshold. Businesses are turning around now and they're going, this is going to cost us a ton. And what the government never really realises, or they haven't really realised yet, has the current Labour government, is that the problem is that if they carry on going out and raising all these NIs, they didn't want to tax the free main income tax. They said that they wouldn't change the free ways they make tax. So this was the way they do it without indirectly calling it a tax hike on people, but it is. Because what's going to happen now is businesses are going to go, we can't give people a pay rise because we have to pay more of your NI contributions through the NI increase, and because we're having to pay hundreds more to have you working for us, that hundreds more would be your pay increase, and we can't give it because we have to pay the government it. So realistically, everyone's being taxed a ton, and the people getting taxed a ton are the middle class. This is the thing, is that all the time when these governments come in, they say that the reason they're going to, or the way they're going to increase taxes is by taxing the rich. Realistically, what a lot of these governments mean is they're increasing the tax on the middle class. That's the main reason how a lot of these governments raise taxes, is to say they're going to tax the rich, realistically tax the middle class. And the middle class is the heartbeat of every economy. And now the middle class at the moment, once again, a big majority of the income earners, you'd say that anyone above minimum wage is middle class, even though a lot of people like to claim the working class. And they have also not going to get a big pay increase. Because they're not getting a big pay increase, because it has to go to NI, we're going to see a lot of people spending less in the economy. That's going to hurt businesses. And then the big thing that really the UK government could have done to help people out in the UK is get interest rates down. You get interest rates down, that helps the economy massively, because if you get the interest rates down, what it does is it gets people buying out new cars. It gets people going out and buying new houses. People are out there spending more and spending on the bigger purchases. Interest rates come down, that helps people a ton, especially mortgages. The middle class, once again, the middle class have had their mortgages go up by £500 a month, £1,000 a month, because of the increase in their interest rates and the interest rates on the homes. If all of a sudden these interest rates go from 4-5% a year down to 3-4% a year, people are going to have more to spend on the economy, and then the government makes more from house purchases, car purchases, with like VAT and other taxes, corporation taxes, because businesses are doing better. They hire more people, they make more of people from the corporation tax. But instead of being the economic drivers, they're just taxing people to make more money, rather than actually having growth to pay for the increases of wages. That is the more sustainable way. You can't keep taxing people and handing more out, because that will crash the economy. You have to get to the point of view where you grow the economy, you make more from taxes, and then you can start handing the pay rises out. And the way that people would have gone out and spend more in 2025 is if you got the mortgages down at the end of the year, when you got inflation down. If you get inflation down, interest rates would have been cut, people would have gone out and spent that extra £500 that they're currently paying on the mortgages into the economy. They would have made more taxes on that, and the economy would have done better. It wouldn't be in the point of view now where the economy is heading towards the recession, because people would have been out there spending and the government would have made more from taxes. That is the basics of economic growth. And unfortunately, this all comes once again back to the budget. And the issue is that quite often people ask me, like, instead of doing these videos and complaining about the current government, what solutions would you have to this? And my solution would be growth. That is how you make more money to spend. You got to get growth in the UK economy. Not by just keep raising taxes, because all you're going to do is make the economy weak, everyone nervous, people nervous to spend, companies are going to be nervous to hire. That leads to people losing jobs, people aren't going to get pay rises, people don't get pay rises, they don't spend more in the economy. You got to break the cycle, and you got to get people spending more. And spending more is by bringing the mortgage costs down, for example, managing inflation, making sure people are getting decent pay rises, they're keeping more of the money by increasing the likes of the tax brackets, for example. That's the way you get people to spend more money, is to feel more confident and that they're earning more money and they can spend more money. And right now, what's happening is the opposite. And that all comes back down to the budget. The budget is the opposite there. And the only thing is that we are heading into a recession. There's no doubt about it. Q3 was weak. Q4 is going to be even weaker. Q1 is going to be bad. Q2 is going to be bad. There is going to be a recession in 2025, and it's all down to the current government. The only way that this is going to be stopped is if they realise that this budget is awful. That's the only way that they realise that they're going to send the UK economy into recession, and then the mess they're going to have to get themselves out of a recession is going to be bad. And the thing is, one of the ways you get out of a recession is you start cutting your interest rates to get people spending. But we've seen the Bank of England won't be able to cut interest rates because inflation's too high. Inflation's been too high because the budget has caused companies to put all the prices up because they increased all the increase of NI on businesses, and they won't be able to do that. And it's just a cycle of mess, and it all comes down to the budget. And the thing is that this recession here is all being caused by the current government. And once again, we look and we think like the only way that this mess is going to be solved is if Rachel Reeves and Keir Starmer look at each other and go, you know what? Yeah, we don't have good experience running businesses, and it's showing. And we need to go back to the drawing board, and we've got to do a U-turn here on this budget. That's the only way we're going to solve this mess out. And right now, like I said, people a bit upset that I make these videos, but it frustrates me because we have had governments in the previous year that have been terrible. In the last kind of 10 years, 15 years, we've had governments that have been terrible. We've never had a government that has been this stupid though. We've seen them do stupid mistakes, but to be every decision this bad, I've never seen it before. I've never seen a car crash of policies come in. We've seen one or two policies, and in fact, Liz Truss period of time, granted there was a few policies that was a bit of a car crash, was Liz Truss budget. At least it reversed. Right now we're seeing a budget that's probably even worse, but yet we're going ahead with it, which is just diabolical. And that's the big issue here, is that how are we so stupid? How do we have people in power that are making these decisions that are going to crash the economy? And we're all going to suffer for it, because in 2025, when the recession hits and we have less money to spend, our incomes are going down, people losing jobs. For us that are UK investors, all our shares are going down because our companies are struggling. We're all going to pay massively for it. So why we there should be a point where we call out the government making terrible decisions, and that's what I'm doing right now. And the more pressure we can put on them to change this budget, the better it will be if we put the pressure on, because hopefully, we can avoid. There might still be time to avoid a 2025 recession, but the more we stick through it and the more we follow through with it, then it is going to be an absolute mess for the UK economy in the next 12 months. So, when you're heading in towards Christmas, you want to go in with a positive attitude for 2025. But my God, it is depressing being in the UK in this current government, and it is depressing when you look at the forecast of the next year. It's going to be a mess, the UK economy. So, yeah, buckle up. It is going to get a lot worse. And these people that are out here saying it's unexpectedly failing to grow, I don't think so. I think this has been clear for me, in my opinion, for the last few months. And what I would say is that, unfortunately, if this budget is to be followed through, it is only going to get worse in 2025. And all you can do is prepare for that situation. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Have a good Christmas. See you in a bit.